The sea was restless that night. Waves crashed against the cliffs with a sound like heavy breathing, each one collapsing against the rocks before retreating into the black. The air was sharp with salt, the mist thick enough to taste. The world had no edges here, no sky, no sea, only the endless gray. Mara walked the narrow path leading up to the lighthouse, her boots slipping on wet stones. Every step echoed against the cliffside, lost instantly in the roar of the waves. The tower rose before her like a monument of iron and loneliness. Its single beam swept across the night, slow, deliberate, alive. It cut through the fog, catching the faint shimmer of rain. For a moment, as the light passed over her, she thought she saw something move in the mist beside her path. But when she turned, there was nothing there, only the sea breathing below. When she reached the gate, the air smelled of rust and cold metal. The key in her pocket felt impossibly heavy, its weight pulling her hand downward as if resisting her touch. She hesitated, not from fear, but from a strange sense of familiarity. The lighthouse loomed above her like a place from a half-remembered dream. The villagers had warned her not to stay overnight. The old ferryman refused to look her in the eye when she mentioned the keeper's quarters. "Just light the beacon and leave before dawn," he said. "And if the light still burns, don't let it go out." She had smiled politely then, pretending not to notice his trembling hands. But now, standing before the gate, the warning returned like a whisper inside her skull. The storm rolled across the sea behind her. Lightning traced the horizon. Mara lifted the key and turned it in the lock. The sound was deafening, the sound of something ancient waking up. The door swung open, and darkness spilled out like smoke. She lifted her lantern, the flames shivering against the damp air. The inside of the lighthouse smelled of oil, salt, and time. Every surface was coated in dust, and every object looked abandoned in mid-motion, as if someone had simply vanished while reaching for something. The beam from her lantern revealed a spiral staircase rising into the dark. The iron railing was cold and slick. Photographs hung on the wall, their edges curling from moisture. Men and women in heavy coats, some smiling faintly, others staring with hollow eyes. One photo had a black X drawn through it. Another had its face scratched out entirely. Mara stared at them for a moment too long. The silence seemed to stretch until the walls began to creak. When she turned her light away, she could still feel the weight of their gaze. She took one of the photos down and flipped it over. On the back, written in faded ink, were the words, "He kept the light, even when the sea called him home." Her breath fogged against the glass. She tried to imagine the man, alone in this place, surrounded by wind and water. A sudden gust slammed the door shut, the sound echoing through the hollow tower like a gunshot. She jumped, dropping the photo. The frame cracked. The lantern flickered. Somewhere above, she heard movement, slow, deliberate, like footsteps circling the upper level. She whispered to herself that it was only the storm, only the wind moving through the vents. But she knew the pattern of sound too well. That wasn't wind. That was someone walking. The stairs groaned under her boots as she climbed. With each step, the air grew colder. Her lantern cast long shadows up the walls, each one moving slightly behind her out of rhythm. Halfway up, she paused. The sound came again, 3 knocks, evenly spaced, human. Her pulse quickened, but she kept climbing until she reached the trapdoor leading to the lantern room. It was slightly open, swaying on its hinges, breathing in time with the storm. Mara pushed it wider, the hinges screaming. Cold air rushed in. The entire room smelled of burnt oil and lightning. And yet, the great lens of a lighthouse still turned. Its machinery was silent. The switch rested firmly in the off position, but the light, the impossible light, pulsed steadily, cutting through fog that didn't seem to move. She stepped closer to the massive lens, the glow reflecting in her eyes. It wasn't pure white, as she expected, but gold, almost alive, like sunlight trapped inside glass. Each rotation lit her face, her hands, and then the sea outside. She leaned close to the control panel, running her fingers along the old brass dials. Every lever was frozen in place. When lightning flashed, the reflection on the glass changed. For an instant, she saw a figure standing on the rocks below, still, tall, unmoving. And in the next blink, it was gone. Her breath caught in her throat. The light passed over her again, and this time she thought she saw a shadow move behind her reflection. She turned and stumbled down the stairs, her footsteps echoing in the hollow tower. In the kitchen below, everything looked untouched, as if someone had only just left. A cup half filled with blackened coffee sat beside a logbook. She opened it carefully. The paper was warped and stained with salt. The handwriting inside was rushed, panicked, and uneven. If you're reading this, you've heard it too. There were more notes, half erased by water damage. The light is not what it seems. It watches when you sleep. Her hand trembled as she turned the last page, the ink smeared as though by tears. Don't answer the knocking. Thunder rolled outside, shaking the tower. Mara looked toward the window. The glass had fogged, but through the condensation she could see something pale move past. Not a reflection, not a trick of the storm. Something outside the window. She stepped closer, wiping the glass with her sleeve. The outline vanished instantly. Only her own reflection remained, pale, wide-eyed, trembling. She drew the curtain shut and sat beside the old stove, clutching her blanket. The wind moaned through the cracks in the wall like a voice trying to speak. And then, faintly, from somewhere deep below, she heard it. Tap, tap, tap. She held her breath. The knocks came again, softer this time, almost gentle but deliberate. She rose slowly, holding her lantern near the floorboards. The flame trembled. The sound came from beneath her feet. When she leaned closer, the knock stopped. And then, through the wood, a voice whispered, hoarse, distant, impossibly clear. "Don't let it go out." She stumbled back, knocking over the lantern. The flame went out instantly, swallowing the room in darkness. The tower creaked. The light above flickered twice, then steadied again, bright as ever. Her heart pounded in her throat. She stayed frozen there for a long time, waiting for the voice to return. It never did. When dawn finally came, the storm had passed. The world outside was quiet, wrapped in mist. The sea looked almost gentle now, waves brushing the rocks with slow, tired sighs. Mara climbed the stairs once more, every step echoing like a memory. When she reached the lantern room, the light still turned. The same pulse, the same golden hue. She knelt beside the base to inspect the mechanism, and saw something carved into the metal, hidden beneath years of grime and dust. A single word, "Stay." The letters were deep, carved with force. Mara traced them with her fingertips. Her voice trembled when she whispered, "I'm not going anywhere." The light turned once more, washing her in its glow. Soft, cold, infinite. And for a heartbeat, it felt like something inside the beam was whispering back.